You guys look fantastic and so patriotic. We're excited to have you guys here tonight. The Ridgeview Elementary Cougar Sound, directed by Mrs. Williams, includes students from the 3rd through 6th grades. These students meet one day a week after school and also work on musical pieces in the classroom. This evening's selections are to honor and recognize the brave men and women who have served our country with a performance of familiar patriotic music. Your voices are welcome to join the Cougars' voices in this performance. But before they begin, we're going to have our invocation and pledge of allegiance, and we are grateful to have with us tonight Pastor Faith Perry from Fleming Island United Methodist Church to lead us in the invocation and the pledge. So please stand with me.
Would you pray with me? Almighty God, we ask this evening that you bless the work of our school board, and then we also ask that you bless these children and their teachers and the things that go on in each and every classroom, that all children will know that they are loved and encouraged to be their best selves. We also this week, Lord, ask for the blessing over the men and women of our military that are actively serving and who are retired. We thank you that they have kept us safe. So now, Lord, give your voice through these conversations, and as things are agreed and challenged, may that be good work to serve our county. In your name we pray. Amen. Would you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's give them one more round of applause. Great job, Ridgeview. We also want to give thanks to Ridgeview Elementary Art and Miss Urbano for the beautiful artwork on display this evening. You'll see it back here in the my left, your right corner of the room. Their work showcases students from kindergarten through 6th grade. It highlights techniques including collage, optical illusions, 2-dimensional art, and 3-dimensional art. Students have worked hard to create these pieces, exploring the elements of value, space, line, and color. These projects are a tribute to those who have served and are currently serving in our armed forces. We thank you for your bravery and sacrifices and are profoundly grateful for all you've done to protect our freedom. So thank you, Ridgeview, for honoring our veterans tonight. All right, I'll now call to order the November 7th meeting of the Clay County School Board. We want to take this time to welcome our citizens and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend tonight's board meeting. This meeting is our opportunity as your elected representatives to collaborate openly and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and the education of our children here in Clay County. If you wish to address the board on an agenda item, there will be an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Please fill out a card located at the side entry door indicating the specific item number or topic you wish to speak about, and turn it in promptly to one of our officers. If you have items that you'd like to present to the school board or superintendent, please hand them to an officer who will distribute them accordingly. Speakers who wish to address specific agenda items will be heard following the recognitions and awards portion of the meeting. Speakers wishing to address non-agenda items will be heard following the business portion of the meeting after the adoption of the consent agenda. No additional cards will be accepted once the board moves to the public comment section under presentations from the audience. Your participation is always welcomed and appreciated. So the first item on our agenda, we're in the recognitions and awards portion, and we have a recognition of the 2024-2025 Clay County Principal of the Year, Mr. Broski.
David Broski, my address is on file. So it's my pleasure to announce who our Principal of the Year is. But before I do that, just a couple of quick things. You know, there's a lot of research as to what it takes to have a successful school. And when you look at all of the journals, information related to it, the number one effect size indicator of a successful school is the classroom teacher. That's number one, scientifically proven. Number two, anybody want to guess what it is? It's the principal. It's the leadership of the school is number two, right behind the classroom teacher when it comes to the success of a school with student achievement. So being a principal is a big deal. I've done it 3 times. It's one of the most challenging jobs there is. You're sort of like a mayor of a small city, and you're everything to everybody. Everything that happens there, the good stuff that happens, of course, it's you that did it. And everything that bad that happens there, it's your fault, right? So that's the principalship in a nutshell. So we have a very talented group of principals in Clay County, and so you have to recognize one, and that's what we're doing here this evening. Our Principal of the Year came to us as a teacher in 1993, French and Spanish teacher in Baltimore, Maryland. Moved down here to Clay County in 2006, where she was an ESE teacher. She also was a Sprint teacher, which was helping college teachers acclimate into the teaching world. She was an AP at Patterson Elementary School, principal of Tynes since 2020. Imagine being principal and we throw you out there as soon as the pandemic starts. I thought, thank you for the fun, right? Well, guess what? I became superintendent then too, so I joined you in that regard. This school, Tynes Elementary School, is an A school. Under her leadership, we've had a 12-point gain in ELA for our lower quartile students, a math gain of 8%, 14-point increase in science. I'd say more than that. There's a lot of grace and professionalism when you just meet Sarah Brennan. And I'll just tell you, as a superintendent, I don't even know if I should say this. Sarah Brennan handles her stuff. at her school. Okay? And so without further ado, your principal of the year, Sarah Brennan, Tynes Elementary School.
That's my principle.
Next, we have our AP of the year. Let me just say, being an AP, when I was an AP, I always said to the principal, I want to be a principal. And he would say to me, why do you want to be a principal? And I'd say, because I want to say yes every once in a while. Being the AP means that you're in charge with a lot of stuff that nobody else really wants to do, but is really necessary for the school to run effectively. So it's one of those thankless jobs that occur. And let me just say something about this young lady. She came to us as a teacher at Oakleaf High School. I was principal there at the time. She's moved up to an AP at Oakleaf High School, where she's been there since 2018. Aside from that, she just excels at everything she does. When she's a coach, she's a state championship coach. When she's a player, she's a state championship player, right? Everything she touches seems to turn to gold because, one, she's got a tremendous work ethic. There's no secret to being successful. The secret to being successful is hard work. And nobody puts in more work, more time, and does it more effectively than Christina Thompson, our AP of the year. Come on up, Christina. Next, we're going to, the Board of Education released its Schools of Excellence. You may say, well, what is a School of Excellence? Well, I thought it'd be great if I explain what a School of Excellence is. A School of Excellence is a school that scores in the 80th percentile for 2 out of the previous 3 years. So what does that mean? You know, I couldn't resist some good data to share with you. So in Florida, we have 4,230 schools. Of those, 774 are considered to be schools of excellence. 52 districts out of 67 have at least one school of excellence. Clay County is privileged to have 11. So the statewide average would be 15%. If you did the math, that's roughly 25% of our schools are schools of excellence in Clay County, which is fantastic. So I'm going to read a little bit about each one, a couple quick things. We're going to ask the principals. Many of the principals are out there. If it's not the principal, if you're an AP representative, come up when I call your school. First on our list is Discovery Oaks. Discovery Oaks, I saw Mr. Hareholtz up there. Looks like the whole team's coming up here from Discovery Oaks. How about this? Overall math proficiency up 13 points above the state average at Discovery Oaks. We'll move through this, but this really is very noteworthy. Next, we have Fleming Island Elementary School. I saw Mallory here. How about this? Purple Star School math proficiency was 90%. 90%. That's one of the top in the state. Next, we have Keystone Heights Elementary. I see Principal Turbyville coming up here. How about this? Overall math proficiency, 8% above the state average. Next, we have Lake Asbury Elementary. I see Principal Roche and her team heading this way. While they're coming here, 17 points above the state average in math proficiency at Lake Asbury. They're doing quite well. Next, we have Orange Park Elementary, which I guess they have bragging rights, being the #1 elementary school in the state of Florida. Tyler Wood, principal. You know, right behind them, not shabby either, Patterson Elementary, the #10 elementary school in the whole state of Florida. Next, we have Shadow Lawn Elementary. Shadow Lawn Elementary. Okay. Let's say a couple things. 88% of their third grade ELA students above the grade. By the way, the state proficiency average 55. They're at 88. So they do a fantastic job. Let me just also say, great culture there. Been out there many times. Very inviting to families. Next, Thunderbolt Elementary. Okay, I saw Amy and the team here. Their overall math proficiency in 2024, 84. The state average, 58. Not that we're competitive. They're followed by Green Cove Junior, Cougar Pride. Come on, Green Cove. 88% in civics. That's 23% higher than the state average. Next, we have Lakeside Junior High. Their civics was 90, 23 points above the state average. Last but not least, this very school, Fleming Island High School. I saw Mr. Pittman, okay. How about this, biology? 91% proficient in biology at Fleming Island High School. That's 25 points above the state average. Now, Madam Chair, I'm going to go off script a little bit because I do have one more thing I want to do while I have the microphone. You know, it's tradition that each year when a board member leaves, we give a trophy, a plaque, something of that nature. And so many of you know that this is Ms. Bola's last meeting as a school board member. Just wanted to say a couple things, and we did get a little gift. You know, we usually give a plaque, and Ms. Bola made it adamant that there will be no plaques, that she wanted an apple. And so, you know, let me just say this, Ms. Bola, W.E. Cherry, fifth grade teacher from 1999 through 2005, Argyle Elementary teacher, 2005 to 2016, school board member, 2016 to 2024, no doubt touched the hearts of many people in Clay County, has been a wonderful board member for our students and our community. It says, Mary Bola, Clay County School Board, 2016 to 2024, and in quotations, here comes the sun. Mary Bola, come on down. Before we take a little picture, let me just say this. You know, you can see from the reaction of people in the crowd that Mary Bola is beloved by so many within the Clay County school system. And so I started to ask people, like, why that is. And of course, I got convoluted answers because we're educators. So when I asked people, the common answer that I got is, you know, Miss Bola gets it. So I talked to some of the principals. I said, well, what is it about Miss Bola? And they go, well, she gets it. And I'm like, okay. When I heard that same thing said 3 times, I became curious. Like, what does it mean to get it? Like, what does that mean? And so when I asked people that, they said, one, she shows up at events and supports the people within the school system. And I thought, okay, people within the school system appreciate that. She also recognizes there's always room for improvement, but knows that folks within the school system will continue to work hard and work with a servant's heart to improve. She recognizes that. I think we all recognize you can always improve, right? No matter how hard you try, there's always something to improve. But she recognizes the excellent work that's done and supports people. When you go to an event with Mary Bola, it's not often I get outworked in the room, but Mary Bola outworks me in the room and going out and talking to people, shaking their hand and just saying, hey, how you doing? Is there something I could do for you? Tell me a little bit about what you do. Like, and showing an interest for that. And I think that over the years, that's generated all of the goodwill that you see. So I hope, whether it's in the cabin in Wisconsin up there by my son, or on the boat, or wherever you go in retirement, I hope you leave Clay County Schools, one, with an understanding of the impact that you've had in Clay County schools on so many people within our school system. So without any more, I know some tissues will probably come out tonight. One big round of applause for Mary Bolo. Take a picture.
Man, that was a lot of celebration. So many good things, so many good people here in Clay County. The next item on our agenda is a Safety and Security Quarterly Report, and we have Mr. Matt Boyack, our Director of Safety and Security, to provide that update.
And I get to follow that. Superintendent, Honorable School Board, and members of the Clay County community. Per Section 1001.212.13c of the Florida statutes, the Office of Safe Schools is required to provide quarterly reports to each school district superintendent and school safety specialist in identifying the number and percentage of schools, including charter schools, inspected or re-inspected during that quarter, and the number and percentage of inspected schools that had no school safety requirement deficiencies. The school safety specialist shall present each quarterly report to the district school board in a public meeting. Our results are as follows. As of October 1st, 2024, the end of quarter one, CCDS had 4 schools inspected or re-inspected by the DOE, Office of Safe Schools. This represents 9.09% of our schools. All 100% of the 4 inspected schools were found to not have any school safety requirement deficiencies. Thank you to the board, the superintendent, our employees, and students who continue to make Clay a safe place to go to school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyack. All right, we have a school showcase tonight with Ridgeview Elementary School. You guys have already enjoyed their art and music, and now we'll hear from their principal, Miss Courtney Schumacher, to tell us about all the great things that are happening inside the school.
All right, good evening, school board members and Superintendent Broski. My name is Courtney Schumacher, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight to share the wonderful things that are happening at Ridgeview Elementary. This is the beginning of my second year as principal, and joining me tonight is Miss Clark, our assistant principal. Along with several of our dedicated Ridgeview teachers, staff. We had lots of students and families here tonight too, so thank you guys. I'd like to take a moment to thank Miss Williams, our music teacher, her students in the Cougar Sound, and Miss Urbano for the beautiful performances and artwork displayed tonight. It is truly the people who make Ridgeview Elementary such a special place. So thank you for welcoming us here tonight. I'd like to begin by sharing a few quick facts about Ridgeview. Our school has a proud 41-year history, serving just under 600 students and supported by over 100 staff members. We are a Title I school and serve as a satellite location for students with intellectual disabilities and varying exceptionalities. We're proud to have a diverse student body with 6 languages represented across our campus. In my first year at Ridgeview Elementary, we celebrated many accomplishments. We saw growth in our end-of-the-year ELA scores for the 23-24 school year, with third grade ELA proficiency ranking number 4 among other Title I schools. Additionally, we completed our inaugural year as an MTSS pilot school, where a team of teachers, district staff, and administration met regularly to explore various aspects of the multi-tiered system of supports known as MTSS. Together, we analyzed data from kindergarten through 6th grade, making data-driven decisions to improve instructional practices. This work fostered a strong belief that all means all at Ridgeview Elementary. We are committed to helping all students achieve proficiency and beyond, starting with a solid foundation of Tier 1 core instruction. Some highlights from last year include our 5th grade math scores, which placed us 2nd among Title I schools and 8th overall in Clay County. We also made strong progress in math among our lowest 25% student group. We recognize the importance of foundational skills, particularly grades K to 2, and we're thrilled that 94% of our first graders ended the year scoring proficient in math. All right. Our science scores also showed notable gains, with a 10-point increase for our fifth graders, ranking us number 6 countywide and number 2 among Title I schools. Other achievements during my time at RVE include having a student recognized as Superintendent's Star Student of the Month and being awarded School of the Month by Community First for the theme of motivation. We also reestablished our PFA, our Parent Faculty Association, many business partnerships, and our PBIS Positive Behavior Intervention Supports team. Also to note, we had an increase in our overall school grade and in overall our attendance, perfect attendance at over 93%. Thank you. This school year, we're focusing on continuing to strengthen our Tier 1 core instruction. In ELA, we're emphasizing reading across genres and vocabulary. And in math, we're focusing on number sense and mathematical reasoning. Our beginning of the year data shows we're approaching 80% proficiency in these areas as a strong indicator for our Tier 1 foundation. We also aim to reduce discipline incidents by 25% from last year. So to achieve our goals, we're fostering collective teacher efficacy and maintaining an intentional focus on building strong relationships and improving student achievement. Our weekly professional learning is focused on those 2 points. So for our Q1 results, they're promising. Our PM1 ELA scores are the highest we've seen in 2 years, and we've already hosted a successful family engagement math event at our school. Our PBIS efforts have also yielded positive results with a 48% reduction in referrals. So one of my favorite sayings at Ridgeview is it's a great day to be a Cougar. October has been especially memorable with many celebrations and events. As you'll see on the next slide, or I'm sorry, on this slide, we recognize Disability Awareness Month. We celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month with an annual parade, participated in National School Lunch Week, and observed Red Ribbon Week. Ridgeview High School has also been a supportive partner, visiting monthly to welcome our students with high fives and even a quick dance-off to start their day. And it creates a joyful atmosphere that everyone enjoys. During October, we joined Ridgeview High School as well in celebrating Homecoming Week, which just adds and strengthens our sense of community. And here's a few pictures from our October events. So at RVE, students have a wide range of opportunities to get involved, and we're thrilled to expand our extracurricular offerings this year with the addition of a new drama club that just started this week, so we're excited about that. Family and community engagement are at the heart of what we do, and there are many ways for families to participate. I'll show some photos from our community partnerships and family events highlighting the meaningful relationships we've built together. In closing, thank you again for the opportunity to speak tonight and share Ridgeview Elementary's progress. With Veterans Day approaching, we'd like to thank all veterans and their families for their service. And last but not least, we have a small gift for each board member and superintendent. It is an umbrella with the RVE logo on it that we'll leave to the side of the room on a table. And thank you all so much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Ms. Schumacher. All right, this is going to be our last call for comment cards. So if you still have one out there dangling, if you'll wave it in the air so we know to wait just a second for you. I see one over here. Any others? Okay. It looks like all of our presentations from the audience are general comments, so they will come after the business portion of the meeting. So moving on to our discussion items, we have D1, Human Resources Special Action A. I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion for approval from Ms. Bola and a second from Ms. Clark. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is Human Resources Special Action B. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I have a motion for approval from Ms. Clark. Do I have a second?
Seconded?
Second from Ms. Bola. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And D3, Human Resources Special Action C. Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval.
Motion for approval from Ms. Bola. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Ms. Skipper. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, so in our consent agenda tonight, we have proclamation number 25-07, recognizing November 18th through the 22nd, 2024 as National Education Week, and November 20th, 2024 as Educational Support Professionals Day. We also have proclamation number 25-08 to establish School Psychologist Week as November 11th through the 15th of 2024. Do I have a motion for the adoption of the consent agenda?
I move approval.
A motion from Ms. Skipper. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Ms. Clark. You guys can rock, paper, scissors it if we need to. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, so presentations from the audience. Our first speaker tonight will be Jeffrey Marshall. And just as a reminder, when you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Is Jeffrey here? Okay.
Good evening. It's my first school board meeting ever, so hopefully I do this right.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. If you'll just state your name and your address for the
Yes.
record, and then you can,
Yep.
whatever comments you
Jeffrey
have.
Marshall, address is 2053 Creekmont Drive in
Thank you.
Middleburg, 32068. I recently became aware of this, and I'm here to address the board regarding school policy, section 4.64, service animals in schools. The current policy requires written requests for an individual with a disability to be accompanied by a service animal to the superintendent of schools. The request must be delivered to the superintendent's office at least 10 business days prior to bringing the service animal to school or a school function. It also requires annual proof of specific vaccinations. Public schools are considered public entities and are subject to the provisions of Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Furthermore, there are specific state statutes of Florida law prohibiting discrimination by public schools based on disability. The ADA states that subject to the provisions of this title, no qualified individual with a disability shall, by reason of such disability, be excluded from participation in or be denied the benefits of the services, programs, or activities of a public entity, or be subjected to discrimination by any such entity. These implementing regulations further state a public entity shall not ask or require an individual with a disability to comply with other requirements generally not applicable to people without pets. This means vaccination records and written requests cannot be required as a condition of access. I have attended school functions and have volunteered for a couple of years. I've never made these requests. I've never provided vaccination records. I just became aware of this policy recently, and I will not make a written request or provide vaccination records as it is not in compliance with the ADA And I ask the board to please review this section and update it accordingly.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Blocker, would you like to respond?
I can. So just to advise the board that we are going through our policies through the Neolo process, and we do believe that we'll address this through that process. So I would recommend at this time that we just continue going through the Neolo process.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Echo Nova.
Echo Nova address on file. First, I want to congratulate Ms. Bola on her many years of service to education, a very well-deserved retirement and service to everything that's been going on. So thank you very much for everything that's going on. I was debating tonight on whether or not to come and talk, mostly just because I've been tired from planning for organizing and protecting the community from the recent election that I find very disappointing, in my opinion. But being one of the very few to continuously come to speak up on behalf of my communities, I felt it necessary to voice some concerns. First, November is Trans Awareness Month, and I know y'all are very much aware of the existence of trans people because of me. Also, November 20th is the Transgender Day of Remembrance, where we honor the many transgender people who have been murdered or died from transphobia. And this year will be particularly tough because of the result of the election and all the transphobia that has come from it. From the elections that I saw, the board will take a further step right and with added vocal anti-trans discourse. And that's already on top of existing dismissal of disabilities and anti-accessibility and other things like that. I know the school board will follow the law, as it has always done. But I want to say that again with a particular emphasis. I know that the school board will follow the law, and that includes all the things that will happen that hurts the disabled community and the trans community and all the other ones as well. We now live in a country where the national government will be attacking every aspect of people's lives, including education particularly. Things like attacks on diversity, on equity and inclusion, on making sure things are accessible properly, even things on topics of study like sociology at various levels of school. And all of these things have been tried at the state level. We've seen this over the years in Florida. And it's been well fought by organizations like Equality Florida and others. But now that it's on a national level, this is a completely different beast and will be a much harder thing to fight. The district could use its leverage as one of the top in the state to make a stand, but I know that it probably won't because it is a reflection of the community, and the community here, sadly, under the influence of organizations like Moms for Liberty and others, would rather see the various underserved communities basically disappear and not be remembered ever. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Next is Bruce Friedman.
Bruce Friedman address on file. Last month, 22 titles were removed district-wide despite the restrictions placed on book challenges by your new policy and procedure. They were all porn. The other 12 were moved to more age-appropriate locations. All of this happened because I read the books, other community members read the books. It didn't happen because any of your staff read the books. Any of you read the books. That's a problem. This has been going on for 2.5 years. You knew there was porn in the libraries for 2.5 years. And you haven't assigned a team to conquer it. Every month, I bring you more. This month, you're getting a reprieve. I was concentrating on other things, getting us a proper president. I've been reading from the summary of the 2.5-year experience of going through your libraries, the kinds of things we trip over, just going through every book on the shelves. And I've skipped most of the really offensive sexual stuff because it's not appropriate for this forum. But I'm going to read a little bit more of it since I have some time. Let you know what else is on the shelves waiting for our children. There are less blatant violations of Florida Statute 847, discussions of wet dreams. There's descriptions of sexual arousal during the commission of violence. There's sexual assaults, pinching a girl's behind in a junior high school book. Bra snapping. These are things that are part of life, part of discussions, and maybe don't need to be part of the library. That's your call. Your rubric and your guideline are weak. Fix them. There's hundreds of books I have found where virginity is trivialized. It's dismissed. Girls lose their virginity, boys lose their virginity, and it's just another day at the beach. Oh, no big deal. Buy better books for our children. I started going through what you proposed to buy. 43 schools are placing orders now, but that the purchase freeze is lifted. It's all the same rubbish. Big Nate books, they're comic books. Kid wants a comic book, send him to the comic book store. Buy real books. There's no Red Badge of Courage. There's no Robinson Crusoe. There's no Up From Slavery. Big Nate, Pizza Face. This is trash. Our kids have a literacy problem. This is not how you solve it. Buy better books. Our kids deserve better. Thank you.
Next is Sheila Torres.
Hello, my name is Sheila Torres, address on file. I'm going to address something I said last meeting about the issue in the classroom and the kids not being able to study. Now, one of the comments that was said to me was that if a kid finds themselves in a situation where they cannot learn, they need to speak to their teacher and remove themselves. Granted, my son had a situation that played out, but maybe my son is being attacked because I'm out here speaking and advocating on his behalf, not only for him, but for every other student inside of this school district. I'm appalled that us as parents, we do our due diligence and try to speak to our kid and tell them about accountability. But when the adults in these schools are not being accountable and stuff are swept under the rug, to me, that's an issue. When children are coming out to the teacher and telling them, well, I'm having issues, I want to remove myself because there's something going on in the classroom, I cannot learn, they move themselves, something happens, oh, that's the one that did not listen, that's the one that removed themselves from its assigned seat. That is a problem. When we have admins lying to parents when they are told, I am requesting to see certain videos at a certain time, certain date, and you get a response from admin saying, yes, I have that video prepared for you. And when you go to the school and you got Ms. Treasure Pickett that's in charge of the secondary thing and says, well, okay, let's look at the video. That's not the video that I requested. It's not the time, nor the date. And what was told to me? Oh, Ms. Torres, don't worry about it because unfortunately the the admin explained why said video isn't given to you. That to me is nonsense. There has to be accountability. Now, if we look at the principal as being in charge of the whole school itself, and we sweeping things under the rug, constant fights and all this other stuff, then what is the accountability for said principal? What is the accountability for the person in charge of the secondary education? What is the accountability of the school board member or the superintendent, especially when they are aware about what's going on in these schools? To me, it's an issue that people go to, for example, Orange Park Junior High. There is constant issues going on with these kids. They are being disciplined. They are being sent out of school. They are expelled from the school and being sent to alternative school or teen court or whatever. But what is the root cause in that school? Let's bridge the gap. Let's invest in our kids, not just beautify the schools or the library or get state of the art. Let's invest in our future. Because like I said before, if you do not take care of your tree, what type of fruit is it gonna produce? Our kids is worth it, and it's not just to look good, but to give them the weapon that they need to compete in life and in a global scale.
Our last speaker of the night, Mr. Wayne Bola, the floor is yours.
All right, well, thank you. John Thrasher once said to me, he says, you know, being on the school board is the toughest job in politics. He says, not only do you have the responsibility of spending people's money, but you got their kids too. So when I think about measuring performance and how my elected school board and superintendent are doing, I look at two things. First, I look at the fund balance, a measure of how effectively you're spending our tax dollars, and the county's ranking in the state, which independently compares us to everybody else in the whole state of Florida. I once had occasion to talk to a county commissioner in St. Johns County, and the conversation went something like this. He said, you know, the same house in St. Johns County sells for 25% more than it does in Clay County. There's business startups here through the roof. Some people attribute this to our ocean front and high tax base. Well, maybe a little bit, but I maintain that having the #1 school district in the state is the real reason. Engaged parents think their kids are getting a leg up in St. Johns County and are happy to pay more. Employers feel they're getting a skilled workforce, and they get a chance to easily hire more attractive employees who also think their kids are getting a great deal with the school system. When I left the school board in 2008 to go sailing, we were neck and neck with St. Johns County in the school rankings. We were about 6th, and they were in the top 5. Our fund balance was around 5%. When I returned 4 years later, though, our ranking had dropped to 18th in the state, and our fund balance was to the point where people were talking about the state coming in here to take over. After a little arm twisting, Mary consented to trade in her classroom and step up for a new challenge. 8 years later, with a lot of help from all of you guys and the superintendent staff, we now find ourselves at #6, and again, with a fund balance comfortably in the 5% range. Okay, very good. Clay County School District, the county's single largest big employer, is a big ship, and it's tough to steer it. But you guys did a great job. Well done. Mary and I are likely to go sailing shortly, and for the sake of the kids and the economic future of the county, I beg you to keep your eye on the ball. What you do here really matters. It'll be interesting to see how you've done when we get back. Hopefully, we'll be able to ease into a peaceful and prosperous retirement in a place we helped build and we still call home. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bola. Appreciate your comments tonight. Next is our CCEA update, Vicki Kidwell.
Good evening. I want to thank you for this opportunity to share educator voices with the board. Tonight, I want to join the education community in thanking Mary Bola. I know I'm not supposed to talk directly to you, but for your many years of service to public education. Mary, I first met you when we taught at Argyle Elementary together. And although you taught 5th grade and I taught 1st grade, the little ones, everybody in the school knew of your dedication to your students. You were kind, compassionate, and always approachable. You were always ready to listen and encourage your colleagues as well as your students. You were generous with your time and expertise when it was sought, and your ability to respect all perspectives was a quality that helped build a strong school community around you. Then you made the decision to run for school board in 2016, and all of Argyle was like, no, Mary. But then we knew it would be a loss for Argyle, but we also believed your huge teacher's heart would be a benefit for the larger community. And I believe that too, and I was right. Your teacher's heart has championed the successes of our students, teachers, and our district. Thank you for always listening, not to respond, but to understand. Thank you for searching for common ground, compromise, and solutions. We teachers know the old saying, they don't care what you know until they know that you care. Thank you for understanding the importance of respect in building relationships. You make it clear in your words and actions every day that you really do care. You have the high expectations of an educator, but you understand that the perfect cannot be the enemy of the good. Thank you for having the patience of an educator and knowing that growth and change takes time. You have been a consistent supporter, a supportive presence in our educational community, always attending and cheering on educators and students at so many school functions. Thank you for believing that all students need to feel represented in the books they read. Your enthusiasm for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library in Clay shows your teacher's heart understands that building lifelong readers builds lifelong learners. You have been exemplary in your service to our students, teachers, and the wider community. Your words and actions have reflected your teacher's heart. You have modeled the characteristics and attitude of a highly effective educator and a dedicated school board member. Highly effective, very important. I never would have guessed 8 years ago that we would work together again, but with me as a union president and you as a school board member. Although some may believe that our positions should put us at odds, you understood that there was much more that we had in common. Mary, thank you for always returning my calls, for always listening when educators had concerns. You heard when we talked. I'm grateful that your teacher's heart could find so much common ground and you could do so much for Clay County. Thank you for all that you are. I wish you peace, joy, and satisfaction in your retirement. You will be missed.
I don't think anybody could have said it better, Ms. Kidwell. Thank you. Do we have an update from CESPA tonight? No. Okay. So superintendent's update and presentations, Mr. Broski.
Proud to announce that I slimmed this down to 37 slides. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the schools of the month, students of the month, academically high-performing district, the hurricane, as well as upcoming events, a whole smorgasbord of stuff. First, our schools of the month. Middleburg High School, Plantation Oaks Elementary. Want to thank Community First for being a good community partner. They give them not only an award, if you ever got into a school and you saw this big giant pencil in their lobby, that's what you get if you're the school of the month, as well as a lunch for the staff there. So great community partner at Community First. This month, the theme is Nurturing November. You can go on there. I know Ms. Chappelle is going to get on there and vote for Green Cove Jr., no doubt, right after this meeting. So everybody's out there. So one of the things that I get to do, being superintendent means you get to do fun stuff about 4% of the time. So one of my 4% is going out to students, giving Student of the Month. This young lady, Brooklyn at Orange Park Elementary, fantastic student. Everybody knows that she comes with a kind heart for all of the students and represents them there. Elementary school, we actually go out to the classroom and we give this to the student. When you get to be in high school, it's not cool. But at elementary school, everybody applauded. Everybody was so welcoming to have strangers in the room awarding this. No doubt, Brooklyn is not only in safety patrol, she performs with the Singing Eagle Chorus and represents OPA at Clay County track meet. So congratulations to Brooklyn. The junior high, we have Miguel. Miguel is at Orange Park Junior High. He's an ACE, pre-ACE student there. He's a web crew leader. He embodies everything it is to have Wildcat pride. Great student at Orange Park Junior High. Next, you have Jolie. Jolie's kind of interesting. She's a soccer star at Fleming Island High School. This is can I say that? I think I can. The only student I've ever gone out was absent when we did that, because she was actually at a soccer tournament. When I went out there, I had to go out twice to go out there and retrieve her. But we actually went out to the classroom, and all the students in the class for high school, fantastic reception. You can tell that Jolie's respected by everybody within the class and is a leader on that campus. So that's fantastic. Academically high-performing district, I think I should probably provide some context to. I think sometimes things happen, everybody just thinks, well, okay, whatever, it's a high-performing district. Most people, if I was to give you a quiz right now on what that means, you wouldn't be able to pass it, because it's different than all the other recognition that we receive. We're one of only 10 districts in the entire state that receive this designation. So what's involved? You have to do 3 things. If you do 2 of these 3 things, you're not a high-performing district. You got to do all 3. That's the reason why only 10 districts out of 67 are able to achieve that. I'm always interested when people comment, not even knowing what the award is for. First one, number 1, is class size. You might not recognize this, but we have excellent class size in Clay County. Okay, I see Ms. Kidwell doing the wave for the teachers out there. K-3, the state requirement's 18, ours is 16.2. For 4 to 8, the state requirement is 22. We are at 18.77. And you can see for high school, it's 25. We're at 19.70. So we keep classes low. I commend the board for doing that, because that requires more teachers in the classroom. There's additional expense that goes with it. We've decided as a group that's important to do, and puts us as a high-performing district. Not everybody else does that across the state, by the way. The second thing you have to do actually does with finances. We have no material weaknesses or instances of material non-compliance in any of the audits that we've had. 0. That's 0. That's like less than 1, okay, when it comes to finances. So there's 2 of the 3, finances. Let's talk a little bit about audits, because occasionally I'll be out and somebody will say to me, hey, we should do an audit or whatever. It's like, okay, these are all audits that we currently have done. And right now, the FTE audit's going on right now as we're talking, and there's other ones that are being done. That's 11. If you wanted to do a count, you could see who they're done by. OPAGA, the Auditor General, the Florida Department of Education, and the state of Florida itself audits us. So number 2, I'm being high performing. No material weaknesses when it comes to finances. That's 0, okay, with all of those audits by all of those people. Then number 3 is academics. We've talked about that because that's my jam and that's what I love to talk about. But I never talk about the other 2 things that it takes, right? So being 2nd in social studies, 1st in civics across the state, 4th in U.S. history overall as a composite, 5th in science, 6th in biology, and 6th in the overall category of science. Math, I'm proud of the achievement in math. I'm most proud of literacy, what's referred to as ELA there, 8th in the state, that's from 12th to 8th, 5th for 9th and 10th grade for high school in the state of Florida. So when that happens, it's a celebration for all teachers out there doing the hard work each and every day. Because we're competitive, we started to look at this a little differently. The graph that you see there is only ESE students, students with disabilities. So if you were to disaggregate the data and just take Clay County ESE students, compare them to every other county's ESE students only, you can see we're 4th in the state. You can see the districts that are above and below. We don't like the ones above us. We like the ones below us. It's not that it's competitive, but it kind of is, right? We want the very best for our children in our county, and I make no bones about that. Math, we're 6th in the state of Florida for students with disability. Science, we're 4th. Social studies, we're 2nd in the state of Florida. I say that, and at the same time, I kind of point out that that raising a child in today's world is challenging. Raising a child with a disability is even more challenging, right? And so there's always things that happen in the educational process in which there's disagreements or there's misunderstandings and those kinds of things. We're in the human business. That's what happens. The reality is, when you look at the facts, students with disabilities are receiving a great education in Clay County. That's not going to eliminate all conflict that occurs related to the services provided to ESE students. It's a tough gig, no matter how you slice that. I just merely wanted to point out what the facts are, related to it. And those are some pretty powerful facts, so I congratulate Dr. Sanders and her team. So a good question would be, well, how does that happen? We really got to do three things. You have to have a good vision for what instruction looks like. You have to have a way to monitor that. And then you have to have teachers with a growth mindset that want to learn how to improve their craft. And all three of those things happen. You've seen me talk about this before. We focus on those four things: student engagement, demonstration of understanding, academic ownership, and rigorous task. We look at this all of the time. If you look at professional learning, you can see how many professional learning sessions we have when you're talking about a growth mindset. You can see 501 trainings so far, 3,630 faculty and staff. It could be realized somebody could have gone to more than one, right? So that number is kind of dependent on how you look at that professional learning. The second thing would be you have to monitor what you do, right? So vision without implementation is hallucination. Write that one down, right? Vision, if you talk about it and then you do nothing about it, nothing happens. It's an hallucination. So there's always people that have great vision. They say, we should do this, we should do that. If you can't actually do it, it's pointless. It's just you hallucinating about it. So you have to have a system by which you ensure that the vision becomes reality. And the way that we do that in Clay County, we do that through the instructional walkthrough. You can see, it looks like Jenny Shepard there in the classroom going through there. You might say, well, the walkthrough provides a snapshot of what's happening in the classroom, and that snapshot is then used for feedback to the teacher. So how many of these have we done? How many classrooms have we been in? We've been in, up to date, almost 4,500 times that we've been out in the classroom. I can tell you exactly who's been in what room and at what time and what they saw when they went there. There is no like hocus pocus. It's hard work that wins the day and ensures success when it comes to students' education. It's not just simply talking about a pie in the sky idea. You have to do the grunt work. A lot of the grunt work happens behind the scenes and is not known by anybody except the people who's doing the grunt work. Obviously, those people know the grunt work that's going on. All of that, like when we do give out awards and all that stuff, that's all nice, and we should do that. But there's a lot of people doing a lot of work to get to that point. It just doesn't happen on its own, right? So there's an example. I think that's an impressive number of being out in the classroom with our students. We also do school improvement walks at our schools. We've done 30 so far. You can see around the table there, I think I see Ms. Collins, and I see Katie Ruelas, who's the science specialist. I see Dr. Sanders. I'm down the end. I see Heather Tito, the back of her head anyway. And then you see Trish Stewart, who's the principal at Rideout. So we were at Rideout doing this. So at every school, I've been to all 43 plus adult and community ed. We've been to 30 of these walks in which all of those people you see there go into classrooms and they look at the same classrooms and then they do what I call calibrating their lens, making sure we all see the same thing. And the things that we see that are positive, as well as the things we see that we need to improve from what we see at each individual school. There's Miss Tito. Miss Tito looks like a good student. Like she probably was an A student when she was in school. The way she's sitting there and she's holding the pen ready to go, right? But it's amazing what you see when you see students. And one of the things I always do is I always walk up to the student, like this young man you see there, and I say, "Hey, what are you supposed to learn today?" And it's interesting if they can't tell you, that's an indication. Students should know what the learning is that they should be doing in the classroom. Then we develop an action plan for each one of those schools. You can kind of see this one is I believe it's the one that we did at Rideout and some of the things that we're working on there to improve The point I was trying to make is all of those things are happening behind the scenes, out of the eye of most people that are going on. But that's really the secret sauce that leads to the success, is the work behind it. And the third part of that is professional learning communities. So a professional learning community is a group of teachers that get together with a growth mindset on how to improve what it is they do. Has anybody ever worked on a team? And whenever you work on a team, there's always challenges, right? Because there's always people that click to get together, others that don't click as much. It's normal human interaction in a group. So imagine getting groups of teachers together. Do they always get along? No, that would be unreasonable to think that that's the case, right? So what do you do to focus them? The document that you can't see on the left are what we call collaborative team actions. We actually teach them, when you get together with your group, here are the actions that successful teams do. Now, this has been a 3-4 year process of doing this. It doesn't happen naturally. I really believe that this is one of the things that have excelled us into our current spot and where we are. It's because our teachers work hard and they want to improve. And so you can kind of see that. It's focused around 4 critical questions. What do we want students to be able to know and do? How do we know if they've done it? What do we do if they don't learn it? Like, what's the next step, right? And as teachers and as groups of teachers, you should be talking about what's the next step, what's the next plan for students who haven't learned it. But then what do you do if they have learned it? That's another important part. So you could see all 3 of those is what makes you a high-performing district. So it's not just school grading, although it is a fact that we're an A school district, and it is a fact that we're at that point in the top 10 in all the categories that you saw. Remember, it's 3 things that make a well-rounded district: the class size, the finance, and the academics. Hurricane Milton, look at those smiling faces. I'd go there and sleep on their cafeteria floor if I had to, right? The shelter principals give up their time. They sleep at the school. All of that, again, we're good community partners with all of our communities. So what does it take when a hurricane happens? Because I always get like phone calls like, hey, we having school, right? So all these people are involved. Safety and security is involved. They're like the first person, and I hate to say this, I think Matt Boyack left, but he's like the leader when a hurricane's coming up and we're getting ready to close school. It's really Matt and his team, along with Bryce, that are down in emergency management. They're in meetings. They're doing all of those things. It all starts with safety and security. Then the shelter principals, they love when they get the call from me saying, hey, we're opening up the shelter. They're all excited, and they say, let's do it again tomorrow. No, this is a disruption, but important for our community. Communications involved. No doubt Terry Dennis does a great job. We have a whole routine that we go to every time that this happens, because when you think about it, we have to inform a large group of people, not only the parents, our employees also. And sometimes, you can put out a Facebook message, an email, a robocall, a smoke signal, and people will still say what? We didn't know. We didn't know, right? So you can't really overestimate the importance. How many people know that we transport disabled people to Lake Asbury Junior High that are medically complex? That means that Randall Crawford and his team, school buses, go out and they pick those folks up and bring them there, okay? That just doesn't happen naturally. Athletics becomes a thing, right? Because believe it or not, a hurricane can be coming and people will call to say, is the game happening Friday? Like that's a thing. And so how do you organize all of the field trips and all the stuff that's there? That's going on too behind the scenes. Food Services provides food there. So Susie Glover and her group are teaming up, getting that ready to go. Information technology, we wrapped everybody in. If you're going to have safety and security during a major event, you have to have a way to keep security at those. And then maintenance. And let me just say this about maintenance. Our maintenance team, in my opinion, I hate to say it out loud, but is understaffed, and they do a great job. And I just want to give a special shout out. And the special shout out goes to, let me find, Bill Smeltzer. Bill Smeltzer is the lead electrician. Let me tell you, the last time it came down to the wire at Clay Hill because the power went out there. And they had reassured me earlier in the day that it was going to happen. So I said, we're having school on Friday, right? You have to make a decision and do it, right? We're opening school. Well, it's like 7 o'clock, and I'm calling Bryce, for the 12th time in the last 13 minutes to say, well, what's going on? What's going on? And really it's Bill Smeltzer, lead electrician was out there past 8 o'clock at night. And that's when the power came back on for school the next morning. So during that one, we had, I think, 4 schools without power. So there's all kinds of stuff that happens behind the scenes, and our maintenance crew, Clayton Anderson, those guys really did an outstanding job. So upcoming events, you can see them up there. I won't read them to you. Support Professionals Day, so important, the work that they do each and every day for us, and you can kind of see all the events that are coming up. Sorry, thank you for listening at the length of that.
Thank you, Mr. Broski. School board attorney remarks. Mr. Blocker, was there anything from your office? All right. School board member remarks. Who would like to begin? No takers?
I'm going last, guys, so just deal with it.
Okay, Ms. Hanson.
I first wanted to say one thing about Ms. Bola. She genuinely, I watch her every time we show up something together. The genuine love and enthusiasm that rolls from Ms. Bola took me by surprise, because sometimes people are fake, but not Ms. Bola. She claps the loudest. She uh-huhs the loudest. She genuinely loves the students. And I want to tell you, I know sometimes it's tough up here, Ms. Bola, but I appreciate you for that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is I know that the district has started this humongous job of rolling through Neola policies. And I wanted to let the board know what I was thinking along the lines of our stakeholders. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we could make when we roll through so many policies so quickly is not involving our stakeholders. So I want us to be thinking about how we can do that. And so for people that don't know, we'll develop a student section, it's Student 5000 section. It'll be similar to what Duval County has in other Neola counties. If there's 83 policies in there, and we currently don't have a Student 5000 section, I think it should lend us to believe that we need to be working with our stakeholders to see where they're at. I don't know how we're going to do it. I plan on holding forums, and school board members can join if they would like. Parent forums, I've been letting teachers know that this is what we'll do. I think the most important people when developing a Student 5000 section are our administrators, our staff, our teachers, and our parents. They are the ones that we need to hear from when we develop this new student section. And so maybe we can start thinking about how we would like to do that. I don't know if Mr. Broski has a plan for surveying our stakeholders when it comes to a lot of policy development to see what their feedback is. So I just bring it up basically because we need to be thinking about it. A lot of our state legislators and legislation includes the word stakeholder. And I think when we're developing our new policies or revamping our policies, we need to be talking to our stakeholders. I did make a quick visit to Clay Hill. Shout out to them. Fabulous campus, fabulous people. And thanks for having me.
Ms. Clark?
I'll try to keep it short and sweet.
Okay.
Ms. Bola? Ms. Clark. As they say, it's been fun and it's been real. But number one, I want to thank you for welcoming me 4 years ago. You made an effort for us to get to know each other and talk and eat and talk. But that was special. So I'll miss our rides to UNF, to the Ridgeview graduation, and our competition at Math Day in April. But just wanted to say thank you.
I have a feeling she'll still show up at things like that from time to time. Ms. Skipper.
I'll be real brief as well. The last month has been very, very busy, especially if you have little kids, not just little girls, but especially my little girls. They're a mess. They are all over the place. We've been to many trunk or treats at many schools. We've been to parties and parades and all I think they're still on a sugar high. So here we are. But I want to thank you, all of the schools, for I wasn't planning on saying any of this, but now that Mr. Broski has put this up on the screen and we can actually see numbers, data, things that are going on, I think it's important to know that collectively, especially with Miss Bola's departure, this board has wanted to involve our community more. We've wanted more parental involvement. We want more communication. We wanted to implement policies, revamp all of our policies because we have lack thereof, or need to change or need to update law. This board has done so much in the last 2 years, a lot. Some of you love us for that, and some of you do not care too much for that. And with the work that we've done, it does cause several people, like Mr. Broski touched on, extra work and more work. But I will tell you this, no matter how frustrated you get, my door, well, my phone, I guess I don't really have an office door, but if you want to, we can meet. It doesn't matter. My phone door always open, always ready to receive communication, to listen to you. But to say all of that, I really do. We've done a lot, and it's paid off, and it shows. And the work of the district, the work of these teachers and the principals, they do an amazing job. We don't get to tell them enough. Sadly, especially when we're out there for visits. It's busy. You don't want to intrude on teaching. But I say all of that to say I have appreciated our rigorous discussions, and I have appreciated not always agreeing, because that is that's what makes the world go around. That's what makes us Americans. That's what makes who we are. So I appreciate that because it has paid off for our students. It has paid off for our teachers, and I want to thank you for that, and I wish you well. I'm super jealous of all the traveling that you're doing. Miss Bola really is, I think, out of all 5 of us, and sorry if this offends any of you, she is the biggest cheerleader. We should have actually put a cheerleader with pom-poms on this. Oh, Lord, those things. And then she does. Are we talking about that again tonight? So, yes. Yes.
When I won.
Yeah, we'll hit that again. So anyways, thank you. Thank you for your service. A lot of people don't, I said I was going to be brief, but here we are. A lot of people don't know what it takes to become a public servant. And actually, like Mr. Bola touched on, I too have had that same conversation with Mr. Thrasher. And when kids are involved, it's so hard to take emotions out of everything because that is exactly who we are fighting for, is our kids. So thank you for being the biggest cheerleader, the loudest cheerleader. And again, I can appreciate the professional relationship and the rigorous discussion because again, looking at what Mr. Broski has said, it's paid off, even though it gets sticky and crazy sometimes. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
I'm going to go before you, Mary, since we're saving the best for last tonight. So I am the board member who has had the pleasure of serving with you the longest up here, from your first day to your last. And I remember when you first came on the board and we went to FSBA training, and it was just me and you, and we had dinner one night. And I have never met another person in a professional setting who is so willing to just be themselves and to share genuinely who they are from their heart. And I've been encouraged by your faith. I've been encouraged by your example. And I am a better school board member for knowing you. And I appreciate just the mentor that you've been. As a baby teacher, I have leaned on you for advice. And I think the world of you. And I wish you and Wayne both all the best in your bright, bright future.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to pass the gavel, Mary, and have you adjourn your last school board meeting.
Thank you so much.
After your
Ashley.
presentation.
Ms. Gilhousen, sorry. Whew, you guys, this was supposed to be fun at the end. I mean, this is a retirement. We're going to have some, well, I'm going to have some fun, but you know, first of all, thank you. Thank you very, very much for all of your kind comments. I remember that dinner fondly, Ashley, Ms. Gilhousen, sorry. Ashley, yeah. I entered a contentious board at that time, and we really knocked a bunch of rocks out of the way and said, let's get to know each other, you know? I loved it. It says final comments, ... question mark for a reason. Because, like Echo comes frequently to our meetings, thank you for your kind words, Echo. And thank you, Wayne, and thank you, Vicki. Truly, Terry, I'm up to 3, by the way, if you're keeping count. Got it, sorry. But as final comments with that question mark, shoot, there are yellow cards in the back that can be filled out. And now that I'm going to be a citizen, it'll be fun to be able to come back and see how everything's going. I have this written down so that I don't go too far off task here, but I found in my 49-year career, it's been 49 years in education, that in most circumstances in working with adults and children, they want to share their story and they simply want you to listen. So I decided to take my turn to share my story. In 2016, we were ranked, I think Wayne mentioned 18th. It went down to 19th at one point, and we were continuing to be challenged here in Clay County. As a teacher, I'll be honest, I was angry. I was coming home and talking to him about everything that I didn't like about not the administration of the school, but the administration of the county. I was so disappointed with what was being dealt us at that time. And he kept hearing about it, and he encouraged me. And no, I'm going to change that word from encouraged to coerced me into running for school board. And though I didn't see myself as a politician, I entered the race. Let's see if I can do this right now. There we go. The election, yes. It's always fun to run for something like this. It was tough at first because I didn't know what I was doing. He had run for school board. He was running for, I think he had done commission 2 years before that, so he had all of the experience. But it was an interesting situation also because as a teacher, I didn't know if I was going to win or not. I couldn't guarantee a victory. And so I continued to teach in August before the primary. I started with a classroom and I won the primary. I was so excited, but I technically wasn't going to start until November, that second Tuesday after the election, when we all got sworn in. I stayed in the classroom until November 18th, and I promised my students that I would be there for them throughout. I was going to be working with 35,000 students after that, not just the 25 of them, but I would watch out for them. Leaving my family at Argyle Elementary was one of the most difficult things I did. I owe a debt of gratitude to a very special teacher who believed in me as an intern and had literally mentored me throughout my career. This year, she is in her 43rd year of teaching 3rd grade. And here's to you, Susie Daniels. She was my mentor. She was my intern. I am older than she. I am taller than she, but boy, did she rule the roost. And on November 22nd, in 2016, I was sworn in and soon realized that there were only 5 other folks with whom I communicated: the superintendent and 4 other board members who I couldn't discuss much with due to the sunshine laws. I think they say family, food, and fun. That's pretty much it. Travel, you can throw that in there with the fun. And I had a steep learning curve. So I made a pact with myself. I would learn all that I could and become a certified school board member with the Florida School Board Association. After all, I was in education. I am a teacher. I knew that I had to better myself in my job. And I'm proud to say that I've been a certified school board member now for the past 7 years. And I would visit all of the schools in the district during my first year. Now, that's November to November that I'm talking about. And at the time, there were 41 district schools and 2 charters. And if invited, I went. If not invited, I asked for a tour. Concerts, plays, fall festivals, everything was up for grabs. I pretty much did it, while at the same time enjoying some of my favorite events. Math Field Day. If you recognize any of those t-shirts, come to the math side. We have pie. And sorry I'm late, I took the wrong bus. The last one, Weapons of Math Destruction. I love that. And what if Dr. Seuss taught? Does everybody get that one? 1/5, 2/5, red 5th, blue 5th? Math. There you go. In addition to that, the elementary track meet, the spelling bees, the concerts, the plays, everything was a hoot. And then add STEM nights. That first picture is from Lake Asbury Junior High STEM night. Oakleaf's drive-by graduation celebration during 2020. And construction career days. That's me in a bucket truck. Graduation events, FFA judging, FBLA judging, hospitality, tools for schools with the Clay Education Foundation, and athletic events. The whole purpose has always been the joy of interacting with students. You'll notice the culinary arts on the left. And the students in the middle are former students that were at the athletic events, were at a variety of different things, and of course, the Fleming Island wedding in the lower right-hand side. To be present in their activities, to listen, and to hear their stories. A special shout out to Miss Neighbors, a special shout out to Miss Neighbors at Shadow Lawn for always welcoming me to her class. Mr. Pope at Wilkinson Junior High, I was just there this past Tuesday working with his history class. Argyle and W.E. Cherry for including me in so many activities. Ridgeview, Orange Park, Middleburg, Clay, Keystone Heights, Oakleaf, and Fleming Island High Schools for opening their doors to not only us, but the community to learn about the outstanding programs we offer. And obviously to Kelly Mosley for coercing us into getting involved with the swine show. What an awesome experience with Lloyd the pig, who is likely no longer with us. And a special shout out to all of the teachers, staff, bus drivers, painters, electricians, UIT guys over there behind that window. Thank you. Thank you for all that you have done, who are part of the district, truly the best of the best. And obviously, I've been while planning for the growth and building of our schools, and you'll see, I don't know, Mr. Broski, if you're trying to get me out of that bulldozer, or if Ms. Clark is coming up there to join me. I can't remember, but yes. Yeah, there you go. We built 2 schools, Spring Park Elementary and Discovery Oaks, and it's always a hoot to be able to go to the school and see your name on the plaque in the front. But while planning for the growth and building of the schools, I've encountered a number of unique characters. You might recognize a few of those. Jackson DeVille is on the left, by the way, and the stormtroopers you see, and those other 2 guys in the middle. I think the top one's from Ridgeview High, by the way. But the ultimate goal in all that I've done is to help our students become the best version of themselves. We are in the business of educating our children and preparing them for their futures. Some school board members have future political aspirations, which truly make them politicians. I am a teacher, and soon to be a retired teacher, who took the chance of becoming a school board member to improve our district. We started doing that in 2016 with returning art and music to every elementary school. Yeah. We worked with Dr. Legutko, I gotta say it one more time. We worked with Dr. Legutko to make it possible to bring our fund balance back to where it's intended to be, 5%, and we're gonna make it even higher. We survived legislation in a variety of areas that continue to challenge public education, and we will continue to survive that. But the campaign promise I made in 2016 was to be there for my students, and I was. Saying, students, you may turn your tassels after getting hugs as they walk the stage to receive their diplomas, was the most rewarding part of my job. These are the children from my 5th grade class, now young adults, who were in my 5th grade class in 2016 when I became a school board member. You'll notice 2 different schools, Oakleaf on the right and Orange Park on the left, because we had to do some redistricting, which we didn't enjoy. My next chapters will definitely be fun with family. We know how to have a good time, and that is our cabin up in northern Wisconsin. And a new adventure with my best friend Wayne on the Queen Irene. Perhaps starting in April, we'll see. There's a goal. But to all of you who are truly passionate about our children and their futures, thank you. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.